more millionaires are made during recession than any other time in history. So what are you doing about it? What really are you doing about getting yourself ready for recession? Or how are you really thinking about investing during recession? Are you going to be that person that have been left out? Or are you going to be part of those people that will become millionaires during recession? Well, I've got a good news for you, right? In this video, I'm going to share with you 8 ways you could invest during recession, right? It doesn't matter when we had a recession, it doesn't matter whatever the market is, and you can survive and thrive during recession. So I really hope this video will be helpful to you to take that leap of faith, to start thinking of how you could take advantage of the recession that is looming and getting closer to us every day. If you like this video or any of my videos, hit the like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing tutorials. So, how to invest in recession? It's important to know things like this. Number 1, you got to be buying at discount. You have to be buying your properties at discount, because when you buy properties at discount, you make money when you buy. What do I mean by that? Suppose you saw a property that is worth, let's say, £100,000, for example, right? Instead of buying that property at £100,000, you might want to negotiate and buy that property at least 10% below market price. What do I mean by that? Say the property worth 100,000 and you save 10% on the negotiation, you can buy that property at £90,000. Let me now explain to you why that is a good thing, why it is a reason why you would make money from the day you buy. You buy the property that is going for 100,000 for 90,000 instead of buying the property at £100,000. So obviously you would approach a lender, a bank, that will lend you 75% of the £90,000. So 75% of the £90,000, maybe about £67,500, just to round the figures up. Let's just say about £68,000, right? So what you could do is you can then do the property up, or maybe paint and decorate if it's a new property. And then what you do, you sat on that property, get a tenant, paying for your debts, by the way, paying for your mortgage, paying all expenses with that property, and collect rent passively without doing anything with it. And you sat on it, and about a year or so, maybe a couple of years or so, let's say a year, for example, property prices maybe would have gone up by 7.5% or maybe 10 or 12%. So let me just give you the tiny bit of example. Let's just say it went up by 5%. Let's just say it went up by 5%. So that property you bought at 10% discount, which worth 100,000, you bought for 90,000, now worth 105,000 pounds, because it was worth 100,000 pounds when you bought it. Estimating that property prices went up by 5%, that's an additional 5,000 pounds. So what you would then do, obviously, if you're an experienced investor, you can then go and remortgage that property at that higher price. So the bank would work into that place, looked at the property and say, actually your property worth £105,000. So what you then do, basically, you're going to remortgage at that new amount. The bank will then lend you 75% of the new amount, the £105,000. Again, that could be about 78,750. Let's just say 79,000 pounds. So what you then do, basically, you are going to pay your existing loan, which is the 68,000, right? With the 78,000 you've already got, get what? You've saved yourself £10,000 equity. You would have generated £10,000 equity. That's what you call, you make money basically whilst you sleep. You make money when you buy the property, not when you sell the property, or not when you remortgage the property, because you've given yourself that cushion. That puts you in a better position. So again, that is the 10,000 that you've made from the day you bought that property. Again, it becomes an equity to you. Again, you can pull that money out, obviously go and invest it, or you can do whatever you want to do with that money. Again, that's the reason why I've been banging on people to buy properties at discount. Never ever buy a property that is not at discount. Okay, so again, even if it's in recession, obviously you bought it at discount. Even property prices fall by 5%, you bought it at 10% anyways, discount, still got that 5% cushion. Hence the reason why it's important to buy properties at discount. The second way to invest during recession is to buy dilapidated building. Dilapidated buildings are properties that have been vacant for a very long time. It's not been looked after, it's deteriorated, and then obviously you buy that property, you renovate the property, you add value. Maybe you got a new kitchen, add an additional bedroom, maybe do a loft conversion, etc. But you just come in and add value to that property. The benefit of buying dilapidated property is basically you are literally forcing the value. You're taking the value from whatever amount you bought it to a higher amount. Again, I'm going to give a simple logical example here. Suppose we saw a property, dilapidated property, it could worth maybe £150,000 once it's done up. But because it's in a bad condition, we were able to secure it. It was at 100,000. Again, we went and got the discount. We secured it, say, for about £90,000. So £90,000, that's how much we secured the property. Let's say again, we went to the bank lent us 75% of the 90,000, and again that would be 68,000 that the bank would have borrowed us, okay? And again, let's say then probably cost us about £45,000 to buy the property and the deposit included. So basically that's how much it cost us. Say fast forward about a couple of months or so, you've done all the works, and then obviously you go in and remortgage that property, and then that property again, because you know how much it could worth once you've done the work, came back at £150,000. So if the property comes back at £150,000, you're going to remortgage at the higher value, because what? You've done work, you've added a new kitchen, new bathroom, extra bedroom, you've forced the value. You've actually forced the value, and that property has come back at £150,000. So the bank will lend you 75% of that £150,000. So that would be 75% of that would be about £113,000. So once you've got that £113,000, you have to pay your existing loan, and your existing loan would have been £68,000. So you minus the £68,000 from the £113,000, and guess what? Your deposit and expenses and all the rest of it, let's say it cost you about £45,000. So again, what you could then basically, you deduct that £45,000 from the remaining amount after you've deducted your deposit. What that means basically, you have literally cleared all your money out, all your investment has been taken out, and you've got zero money left in your deal. Again, these are the benefits of buying dilapidated building that you can force value to. What we call no money left in deal. What that means basically, out of that £113,000, you've paid your existing lender, you've refunded your deposit back to you, you've paid for the renovation cost, and obviously you've taken all your investment out. And guess what? You can then rent that property out. You can rent that property. Suppose we rent the property for about £1,000. Let's say probably the mortgage, building cost, repair and maintenance, and management fees, let's say it cost us about £600. If you minus the £600 from the £1,000, you'd also be making £400. You've got a property, you've taken all your investment out, you've rented it out, and you're making £400 passive income every single month. You do the maths. That's an absolutely amazing return on your investment. That's a whopping £4,800 passive income in one property, which you have literally pulled all your investment out. Basically, you've got that property for free. And again, you see why recession is one of the best time to buy properties. And again, if you know what you're doing, it doesn't really matter whether it's recession, the economy is going sideways, upwards, whatever direction is going. If you're following these golden rules, you would never, I would not say never, you would hardly lose money in your property deals, because that's what gets you to the next level. The third way to invest during recession is basically buying properties near big cities. What do I mean by that? Because everybody's hitting the cities. Everybody wants to buy properties in Birmingham, Liverpool, Newcastle, Cardiff. I understand that. I really get that. But if you want your money to work a lot harder, you want to buy it in the towns surrounding those big cities. Let me tell you why. I'll give you an example. Suppose you want to buy a property in Cardiff, okay? Cardiff property prices now is about £250,000 to about £300,000 for a house in Cardiff, okay? A nicely done up houses will cost about £300,000. So if you were to buy that house at £300,000, obviously that house will rent for about £1,200 to about £1,250. Okay, let's take a contrast. Suppose now instead of using that £300,000 buying a house in Cardiff, we can use that same £300,000. We can buy a property in a place called Newport, Merthyr Tydfil, or Port Talbot, for example. Okay, we can go and buy 2 properties in Newport that each worth £150,000, right? £150,000 each. That gets you 2 houses instead of 1 house. Then what we could do, we know Cardiff, you're renting for about 1,300 or 1,250 per house. So what we could do in Newport, we can rent each of the houses about £1,000, right? So if you got those 2 houses, guess what? You've got £2,000 instead of £1,200. That is basically you making your money work a lot harder by adding an additional £800 in your rental income. Check this out. £300,000 gets you £1,200 rental income in Cardiff, and then in contrast, that same £300,000 buys you 2 houses in Newport that you could rent out for £1,000 each. So if you add those 2 properties, that gives you £2,000 gross rental income, versus in Cardiff, property would generate you about £1,200 or £1,250. That is a difference of £700 or £800. So basically, you've literally makes your money work a lot harder. Again, when property prices goes up, you've got 2 properties that the value goes up. Again, do I think it's better to do it that way? Because obviously when you're buying those 2 properties, you're not buying it in the exact same location. Maybe you buy one in the north of Newport and you buy another one in the south of Newport. Maybe the property prices will not go up the same amount. Maybe you can get 5% there, and the other side of Newport, you get it at 10%. So again, you've diversified your capital appreciation there. And again, if it's in Cardiff, you only got 1 property. Whatever the capital appreciation is what you get basically. Again, that's the reason I'm banging in this. I don't buy properties in big cities because I want my money to work a lot harder for me. Okay, these are the little things you could do during recession. If you know properties are going down in Cardiff as well, but you know you can get better return in Newport, Merthyr Tydfil, Port Talbot, for example. In the case of Birmingham, you're talking about Dudley, Walsall, Wolverhampton, Coventry, Leicester, areas like that. They're very close to Birmingham, and you get the property half the price. And the good news is the rent doesn't correlate with the value of the property. Again, these are the things that you could do to make your money work a lot harder. The 4th way to invest during recession is negotiation, right? What do I mean by negotiation? You have to be able to negotiate to be a successful entrepreneur, right? You need to know what your bottom line figures are, and you go with your figures. When you're negotiating, you don't go with emotions. You go with numbers and your head, okay? Future forecast what the benefits you can get from that property, the benefit of the person you're buying the property from, right? Future forecast, you understand exactly what it is. And most importantly, listen to what the person is selling saying, right? God gave you 1 month, 2 years for a reason. So listen, try to understand their pain point. And guess what? Try to solve them on their pain point. Tell them, listen, if I bought this property from you, XYZ pain is going away. And again, don't use emotions. Don't fall in love with a property deal. Don't fall in love with a property. Fall in love with the figures, the return on your investment. Don't be emotional. Don't be emotional in buying houses. Make sure the figures are sound and you know what you're talking about. And most importantly, listen to this. You have to write this down. Write it down. Write this down now. Look for reason not to buy the property. Look for a reason not to buy the property. Not a reason to buy the property. Okay? Look for a reason not to buy the property. Why am I saying this? If you look for reasons not buying a property, it gets you diamond properties. It gets you properties that are called diamond properties. It gets you property that will rent all the time. It gets you properties that appreciate in value, right? Hence the reason why I negotiate in every single thing I do. And again, you negotiate all your life anyways. You may have not noticed, but you are negotiating with your children at home, right? If you don't want them to watch TV, basically you have to get them something else to actually watch, or you have to talk to them, let them understand what you're. So basically you're doing this every single day. You're negotiating with your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever you work with, right? You are negotiating with these people. So you have to kind of implement that in your property investment journey. When you negotiate, you understand the seller pain point. It bags you amazing deals. It doesn't just bag you amazing deals, it helps you resolve that seller's issue. It helps you resolve that seller's pain point because you're looking for an ethical win-win situation. So again, important. Don't go with emotions, go with the numbers. The fifth way to invest in recession is basically underestimate your fair market value. What do I mean by that? What is fair market value? Fair market value is the value you think your property worth once it's been put on the market, right? That's the fair market value, or how much you think the property would sell for. Not what the price is online, but what you think it is sell for. If you want to get the real figure for this, you need to get a valuation officer to come around and value the property for you. And again, I said valuation officer. I did not say an estate agency, right? An estate agency will not value the property properly. They'll value the property because they want you to hand that property over to them to sell. Okay? They will increase the value to make you kind of feel okay for them to sell that property for you. But if you want to use them as well, this is what you could say. When they give you the first value, ask them, if I was to sell this property, if I really want to sell this property in 4 weeks, how much do you reckon I can actually sell this property? They will give you the actual value of your property, okay? They will tell you how much it is, and then that could be the value of your property. Or get a normal valuation officer to come around and value your property. They will tell you what the value is. And again, when you're doing your figures, you have to underestimate that figure, right? Suppose the property would worth, let's say the property would worth about £150,000 in the open market. So if you are an investor, obviously you're not going to put that figure as your fair market value. You want to reduce it for about maybe 10,000 or maybe 10% or 15%, right? Again, what that does basically, it literally makes you feel like you are not making money there, and literally you're squeezing the lime out of it to make sure that whatever property you buy is the right property. And then if you underestimate your fair market value, what that does basically, if the property end up being valued at 150, 155,000, or say 160,000, you've got a surprise for yourself there. And that's what we call good surprises, not bad surprises. I've seen so many investors approach me with deals where they've overestimated the fair market value. Why would you do that, right? That's why they end up being disappointed. That's why they end up thinking someone has robbed them, someone has done something terrible to this, because that's what they're doing, right? You always underestimate your fair market value, so that maybe if you come up at 150, you're happy, right? If you come up 160, you're celebrating, right? But if it's at 140 at your analysis, right, you are kind of understanding, yes, it works even at 140,000. Right? It has to work at that point. If it doesn't work, you literally walk away from the deal. Again, very important to underestimate it, right? Always underestimate your fair market value, and also underestimate your income and overestimate your expenses. Write this down. Underestimate your income and overestimate your expenses. Again, that gives you a nice, amazing surprise. The sixth way to invest in recession: net profit, your cash flow. The cash flow is one of the most important things when it comes to property investing, if not the most important thing, right? Ensure that your property is making you, your buy-to-let property I'm talking about here, a property that you can rent to a family or maybe a single person, should make you minimum of £300. Should make you £300 or more. If it's making you anything less than that, you either go back and renegotiate or basically pass on that deal. Because obviously if it's not making you £300 a month, it's not really, to me personally, it's not a better return on investment. I haven't got a property that gives me a less than £300 net profit, a buy-to-let property deal. Again, you have to understand that, because what happens is basically, if the net profit is less than that, you're kind of not making a lot of money. If interest rate goes up, basically you are down the drain, right? Hence the reason why you need to have that cushion to get you to where you want to go. The 7 ways to invest in recession is: estimate your interest rate, overestimate your interest rate, okay? Always overestimate, especially now during this economic crisis, because we're getting, obviously, as I've just talking about recession now. Always overestimate your interest rate. If the market interest rate is 3% or 2.5%, you want to set that at 4.5% in your analysis, right? For worst case scenario, because we are already about 1.75% base rate, and the Bank of England is looking to increase it. So obviously you have to consider that, you have to factor that. So overestimate it to at least 2% over whatever the banks are doing, not the base rate. I'm talking about the interest rate the bank or the mortgage interest rate the normal high street banks or mortgages are charging. Overestimate it. And again, if you're making profit at that point, you are on the right track. You're doing absolutely amazing. But you have to overestimate that interest, especially in the crazy world we're living right now, because that then give you the cushion, a comfortable cushion, should shit hit the fan. Okay, so again, very important for you to underestimate that. Next, if you bought a dilapidated building that you need to do renovation works in, right? Never, ever, and ever go with the first quotation, right? Always get multiple of tradespeople to come round and give you their estimate or their quotations. Okay, don't go with the first person who gave you a quotation. I learned this the hard way in my first property deal. I got the first person, he charged me a ridiculous amount of money, and then obviously I left lots of money in that deal. So obviously get 2 or 3 people, I would say 4 people to give you a quotation, right? Once you've got the 4 people, look at the prices. Right, don't go for the cheapest, obviously, if you don't trust that person. So sometimes you can see someone who you could work with. Okay, so again, look at that person, look what they can offer you, right? Look at the prices and go somewhere that is a win-win situation. That has saved me thousands of pounds. That has saved me tens of thousands of pounds, only because I have more than 2 or 3 quotes for every single job I do in my property. And again, that gets them to compete with each other as well. What I do, I make sure they see each other as well, so that when they're bringing me their quote, I've got a bargaining power to actually get to them to actually reduce their prices. Again, that will save you tens of thousands. So never, ever get a quotation from the first builder. Very important. Okay, if you like this video or any of my videos, hit the like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing tutorials. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to seeing you starting your investment now and continuing it during the recession.